Okay, so if you clicked on this video, that probably means you've got a mini PC, or you're thinking about buying one and you're wondering if you can actually game on one of those without just using integrated graphics. Even though some have some pretty good graphics on them, maybe you want to extend that. Well, today we're going to find out if you can do that, and I'm taking the Peladin WO4 that I have in my office, and I'm slapping an RTX 3080 Ti on it using the AOOSTAR AG02 eGPU dock, and we're going to test it two different ways, with OCuLink and with USB4. And we're going to see which one actually can turn this little mini PC into a gaming monster. Now, spoiler alert before we get started, they both do. One's just a little bit better. Now, to get this started, I want to talk about the hardware first so you guys know what we're working with, and we'll start with the Peladin WO4. Inside this little guy, we've got an AMD Ryzen 7640HS processor, 32 gigabytes of DDR5 memory, and a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. It also has AMD Radeon 76M integrated graphics, which on its own is actually pretty capable for some light gaming, and I proved that in my last video. But today we're not going to rely on integrated graphics at all. It has USB 4 built right in. And USB 4, for those who don't know, is fast enough to actually run an external GPU. So right out of the box, this thing can connect to our eGPU dock. No additional hardware needed for that. But something I also wanted to do is test OCuLink, which is a different, faster interface. So I went ahead and added an NVMe adapter with an OCuLink port to the Peladin WO4. Again, I did this in our last video. This gives us that second connection option and lets us do a direct apples-to-apples comparison between the two interfaces on the exact same machine. So that's how we're set up today. One mini PC, two ways to connect the eGPU. And speaking of the dock, today we're going to be using the AOOSTAR AG02 eGPU dock. First, this thing has an 800 watt power supply built right into it. That's right, 800 watts, so that is more than enough headroom to run basically any single GPU you want to throw in here, including the 3080 Ti that we've got here today, without any power delivery issues. That's honestly one of my favorite things about this dock. You don't even have to worry about your card getting throttled or starved for power at all. Second, and this is the key feature of today's video, the AG02 has both OCuLink and a USB 4 port right here on the back of it. Most eGPU docks, including the one I used in my last video, just give you one or the other. This one gives you both. So I don't need two different docks to run this test at all. Same dock, same GPU, I just swapped the cable, and then that's what makes this such a clean comparison. And now, of course, sitting in the PCI slot right now is an RTX 3080 Ti, which on a mini PC is kind of unhinged if I'm being honest with you guys, but I'm really curious to see what it can actually do.
All right, guys, so I'm going to turn this thing on live with you guys because I've never tested this before. I just got it all set up, and I'm going to connect the power right here with you guys with me, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so already we see some fans spinning, and I'm hearing some pretty audible noise coming from the power supply. Let me see if you guys can hear that. Can you guys hear that? Hopefully that's not a terrible thing, but it is making some noise. That's unfortunate. Did we get a dead power supply? I hope not. So they said USB 4 you can hot swap, so you should just be able to plug your USB 4 cable in and make this thing work. So let's go ahead and plug this into our mini PC here, and let's see what happens here. Okay, so now we definitely have power. As you can see, my graphics card is on, so things are happening. That's a good sign. Okay, so I already had the NVIDIA software on here because I've had an NVIDIA GPU on this before. If you guys saw my video previously, you guys will know I used like I use a 3060 Ti and a different eGPU with this system. So it already has an NVIDIA drivers. So all that happened that I saw was the screen flickered and then it started working. I still definitely hear that that power supply is pretty audible. I'm gonna let you listen to it one more time. Yeah, I really hope that's not a problem. And it does suck that it's kind of that loud. I wonder if something's going on there. But what we should have to do here is just update our drivers. Most likely right here, yep, we'll get our drivers downloaded. And I think this should just work. Success. So you can see in Device Manager and in the NVIDIA software, we can see that RTX 3080 Ti showing up now. So USB 4, pretty easy. Just connected the dang thing and it works. I gotta just go ahead and switch my DisplayPort cable to the 3080 Ti and we should be solid. So let's go ahead and do that and run some games.
First up in our benchmarks, I ran a quick run of Steel Nomad and we got a score of 4,845. So things are looking pretty good so far. Now, starting us off, we are in Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl, and we are running this at 1440p with high settings, and we are using DLSS on quality. Now, in this game, you actually do have to use some kind of upscaler because they require it. But I am not using FSR, just using DLSS on quality. And you guys can see that with that settings, we're kind of running around the low 50s is the main thing. I averaged it out to about a 56 average FPS. Now you can see in a couple of areas where there's a lot going on, especially character models and whatnot, it does dip down to the high 40s, which is kind of unfortunate to see. But yeah, I did test also on the long side of this, I did put FSR 3.1 on, and this will drastically increase your FPS while not really making the game look any worse. And I was able to see FPS numbers of above 100 FPS until there's some combat going on with those settings. So that's not a bad place for us to start. Next, we're running Cyberpunk 2077 at 1440p again, and we are using their high preset DLSS on quality, and there is no frame gen on. So with these settings right here, this mix of settings, we are seeing around an average of 79 to 80 FPS, which is really, really good. It dips down a little bit once we're in combat, but man, still a pretty solid play experience here at 1440p. And again, if we wanted to use frame gen, we'd basically tech that on and it would double our FPS. I even tested this so you guys could see it real quick, but yeah, still not a bad showing from this game either. Next, I ran Hogwarts Legacy at 1440p again, and this defaulted to the Ultra preset, so I just left it. And we do not have any frame gen or upscaling, but we do have TAA on low. And I like to test this thing either in Hogsmeade or on a broomstick flying around the castle because this thing drops your FPS like no other. So doing this, you can see we're getting around an average of 77 to 80 FPS right there. And once we land and run around in Hogsmeade, you can see that again, it drops a little bit and we're averaging around 68 FPS right there. With it, you know, sometimes in the mid 50s, just depending on what you're looking at. And lastly, we threw Forza Horizon 6 in there because it's a brand new game. This is at 1440p again on their high preset with no upscalers or anything like that turned on, no frame gen. No AA either. So yeah, this game, I noticed it actually doesn't really do much when you turn DLSS on for some reason. And with those settings driving around Japan, yep, I definitely noticed there are some jaggies going on with the graphics because we don't have any anti-aliasing on. That's super noticeable for me in this game, but you can see we're still averaging around just above 70 FPS, which is completely playable at 1440p. But now I'm really curious to see what OCuLink can do to give us a little bit of boost in our FPS. All right, so I just really wanted to quickly comment on the OCuLink setup while we're doing this setup. Yeah, it was just as easy as USB4. I literally just plugged it in, as you guys saw, with everything off. So OCuLink, you do have to turn everything off. You can't hot swap it like I did with USB4. You have to turn everything off, and then I put the power cable back into our eGPU dock here, and then I booted the PC, and now everything, as you can see, is fine. We're back into our desktop where we're about to be in a second once I put the password in, and we're ready for some gaming. All right, guys, real quick, while we're running a benchmark test, I'm running Steel Nomad right now. I just wanted to point something out to you guys. That sound that I mentioned before with our eGPU, it's completely gone. Yeah, it's basically silent over here right now. The only sound I'm hearing really is coming out of my mini PC when this thing's fan starts to ramp up, which right now it's actually not. During gaming, it definitely does. Listen to this. Yeah, I'm not hearing literally anything anymore, which is very cool. I guess maybe it just needed time to break in or something. So yeah, either way, all the noise is gone, and I love that. So yeah, hopefully this stays that way. So we're going to start this off with something that's very weird. We actually did worse in our synthetic benchmark. So guys, this will tell you, don't believe everything synthetic benchmarks tell you always, because this doesn't paint the full picture by any means. Now hopping into real gaming, we are in Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl again, and you can see already that this time around with OCuLink, we are staying above that 60 FPS threshold. So you don't see any crazy dips into the 40s like we were seeing with USB4. We got all these models on the screen. We're doing stuff right here in the menu, and you can see that we're staying in an average around 66 FPS, even with a bunch of character models on. And I will show you guys some combat and stuff like that here too. And you will see it definitely does not dip as low as it did when we were using USB4. So I would say this is about somewhere around easily a 10 FPS or more increase just by switching a cable. And of course, if you want to go crazy and turn FSR on, check these numbers out, guys. With the OCuLink cable and with FSR on this game, we are averaging over 130 something FPS right here. So yeah, this might be the way you want to do it in this game specifically, because game still looks amazing. Look at that, we got combat going on, and we're averaging, we're dropping down into the 120s, but man, right there we're having an awesome gaming experience, and you're not really worried about your FPS, you're just worried about the game at this point. Now moving over to Cyberpunk 2077, using the exact same settings as we had last time, you guys can see we are getting well into the 100 FPS. A lot of times we're staying like around 95 to 96, even a little bit higher than that sometimes, which is easily, it's almost like a 20 FPS increase in this game just by switching a dang cable. That's pretty freaking cool. And again, just like we saw with Stalker, if you wanted to go ahead and put frame gen on, you are seeing even more FPS, as you guys could probably already discern is going to happen. So, are you guys having an awesome gaming experience in this game? 100% you are. And now hopping into Hogwarts Legacy, this time you can see we are not dipping down below 60 FPS anymore. We are staying well above it into the 80s right here with the exact same settings as last time. Ultra preset, once again at 1440p with a little bit of TAA on. And, you know, I just messed around with the wand there a little bit, and you guys can see some of the volumetric effects or whatever, and all the fog and everything inside of Hogsmeade, all the different lights going on. And we are staying well above 75 FPS or so, with not some crazy frame dips either. So very, very nice. And once again, this is almost a 15 FPS increase in this game. Now, are you guys starting to notice a trend yet? So back in Forza Horizon 6 here with this exact same settings as we had last time, we are now seeing an average of around 93 FPS just running around the middle of Tokyo here with all these different effects going on too. We got some snow flurries going on with some wetness and reflections on the road right here, and this thing is handling it awesome, man. So as you can see, with this kind of FPS number, this gives you a little bit more headroom to play around with your settings, and we could easily add some anti-aliasing here to get rid of those jaggies. And once you do that, oh my goodness, does this game just look perfect. You can actually use NVIDIA's DLAA with my 3080 Ti right here, and it just makes the game look perfect. It hits the FPS a little bit, but man, I think with a game like this, it's perfectly worth it. Okay, I think the story is pretty clear here at this point, but let me pull up a side-by-side of these because the numbers are worth looking at together. So as you guys can see, in every game, basically, OCuLink wins, and it's not really a surprise given that 64 gigabit per second bandwidth and the near native PCIe performance. But seeing it in actual game frame rates makes it real. If your mini PC has OCuLink, or you're willing to add an NVMe adapter like I did, you're gonna get a noticeably better experience out of your eGPU setup, especially in more demanding titles where that bandwidth headroom actually matters. Now, the thing that made me scratch my head and actually come down to earth was USB 4 really wasn't that bad, like at all. If your mini PC only has USB 4 like this one does, if I didn't get the dock, you would genuinely have a good time gaming with this setup. You're still running an RTX 3080 Ti, you're still getting way more performance than any integrated graphics solution, and the gap there it's real, but USB 4 is not broken and the gap is not that big. It just has a ceiling. And the AOOSTAR AG02 specifically, I have to give this thing some huge thumbs up because the fact that it has both interfaces built in is a big deal. You're not locked into one connection type, and if you upgrade your mini PC down the line to something with OCuLink, the dock still works. 800 watt PSU, solid build quality, and supports full-size GPUs. And it gives you the flexibility to choose your interface. Honestly, for that price of, what is it, $220, pretty freaking awesome. So now you're probably at the point where you're all wondering, what would all of this cost? Now let's go ahead and put this in perspective for you. So doing this whole setup will cost around $480 for a similar Peladin WO4, $230 for the eGPU dock, and on the used market, you can easily find an RTX 3080 Ti for around $450 to $480. For just about $1,200, you're getting a seriously capable mid-high-end gaming PC that's also portable and it's really solid by today's standards. And either way, I had tons of fun putting this thing together, and I had even more fun testing it because honestly, guys, it was just so easy to do. All I had to do was plug in a couple of cables, switch them around when I needed to, and the thing just works. So just right there, that is an ease of use thing that a lot of you guys could do yourself. So let me know down in the comments, would you guys build something like this, or am I an idiot and this is too expensive and you guys would rather me do something else? Let me know. Also, guys, if you wanted to pick up anything I used in the video today, as always, links will be in the description below so you guys can build exactly what I did, or, you know, find something different that works for you. But either way, guys, that's going to be it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I wanted to keep it super clean. Just, you know, same PC, 2 different cables, same test and everything. So hopefully you guys got a good idea of what USB 4 and what OCuLink can do under these conditions. But that's going to be it for this one. As usual, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you guys give it a like. And if you guys want to stick with me and watch some more of my videos coming out very soon, get subscribed, those notifications on. I'd really appreciate it. And I will catch you guys next time. See ya.